Good morning, everybody. My name is Tina with the Daily Sprout, and today I thought I would just give you a full moon garden tour. It is October 6th, the hunter's moon, and things are getting to be a bit chillier here in BC. It's going to be about 15 degrees all day today, and so I just thought I'd go over with you all of the changes that have happened in the garden, how things are going, maybe a few of our plans for the spring, what kind of worked in some beds, what didn't work in other beds, and yeah, just kind of go over everything that I've kind of experienced this summer, a general overview, and stay tuned for at the end of the month, around Halloween, I'm probably going to do a before and after video so you can kind of see where we started off with this yard. We will have been here officially a year, so you can kind of see what we've been able to accomplish in that last year. But for today, let's do that garden tour. So this is the bed that was originally here when we moved in about a year ago. We didn't do anything to amend this bed. I just wanted to see how things would go for this season, and then from there make adjustments to the soil if I need to. And honestly, some things are doing okay and some things are not. So it could be because this spot, so like basically in this area here where everything's kind of droopy, it gets just like blasted with the really hot desert like sun in the summertime. So I think next year I thought do a bit of research and planned out some stuff that don't mind the heat so much. The peppers, they do droop in the hot heat of the day, but then they just bounce back. So I think I might continue with them here. They're starting to wind down for the fall, but there are so many peppers on these still that are just ripening. And yeah, they seem to be doing really well. So my plan for the peppers is, because they are technically an annual, technically they should be able to live throughout a couple of seasons. I think about 4 or 5 years is their natural life cycle, but it's Canada and it gets really cold, so they just don't like to live through the frost. So what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to take a few of these, probably the healthier looking ones, and dig them up, put them into pots and bring them inside. So probably this one. But for the rest of them, I think what I'm going to do is try to build miniature like greenhouse kind of covers. I have all this old plastic leftovers from packaging from work, so I thought maybe I'd just try. So that'll be my experiment for this winter. Now this bed had our arugula in it. I had arugula all the way along the brick here in the spring, and it did super good. Of course, once it got really hot,
getting big, filling in.
Slowed down and it went to seed, which is fine. We got a lot of arugula out of it. So this is where I actually transplanted all of the strawberries from up there. So there was 4 big strawberry plants up there. I took 2 that were doing terribly. They started dying back, getting really yellow, so I decided to move them over here. I separated them out, the crown out, into 10 or 11 different plants, and most of them survived. And the rhubarb, I moved the rhubarb over here as well. It seems to be doing awesome. Just 2 of them. Anyway, the brassicas did okay, and then it got too hot. So they just didn't have enough time, I think, to grow before they bolted. So anyways, I planted these out. So these are cauliflowers here. This is a Brussels sprout. And I planted these out in April. I sowed them by seed at the same time that I planted out the seedlings for the rest of them that didn't make it. They're a bit leggy, but I don't know. Maybe we'll get something out of them. They seem okay. They seem happy. The funny thing is when I cut out the big plants that bolted, that I didn't that didn't work out. I just cut them off. I left the roots in because I was like, I'll just let the roots stay and break down and nourish the soil, and they've all started sprouting again. So I'm just gonna leave them. I don't know. I don't think we'll get anything out of them, but you never know. So that's kind of fun. The Jerusalem artichoke bed. One of my faves. I like to stand in it so you can see the size. Can you see the top of that? It is so tall. So the Jerusalem artichokes are one of my favorite plants. I love how big they get. The flowers are really pretty. And I'm excited to give them a try. I haven't actually eaten a Jerusalem artichoke yet. I hear mixed reviews, but they're a really great survival plant. The tubers are what you eat, so there's hopefully a bunch of tubers underneath here that we'll be digging up in about a month or so, once everything starts to die back here. And yeah, then we'll just leave a few in there till overwinter, and then they'll come back and sprout up in the spring. I like them because they're so tall. They create a lot of like a nice privacy if you have neighbors you would like to block. And the pollinators absolutely love them. Got bumblebees for days. Now, one thing I'm a little bit disappointed in was our pumpkins. So I bought these seeds. They're called the jack-o'-lantern seed. So jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. So I assumed that the pumpkins would get pretty big so that we could carve them. However, none of them have gotten much bigger than this. This is our biggest one. So I'm a little bit disappointed with that. I was hoping for a lot of giant pumpkins, and I was hoping that would add to my weight goal, which I know I haven't mentioned in a while. My goal for this year as far as food harvest goes, I was hoping to get at least 300 pounds of food. It's still a bit early. Like, I still haven't harvested the heavy stuff like the Jerusalem artichokes or the pumpkins. Most of the pumpkins are still on the vine. But with the tomatoes and peppers and everything else that we have harvested so far, we're sitting around 100 pounds. So we're about a third of the way there. So maybe once all the heavier stuff has been harvested, we'll be a bit closer, but I have a feeling we're going to fall a bit short on that weight goal this year. But that's okay. So beside the Jerusalem artichoke bed, we've got this guy. The sun's giving me trouble. All right, so this is one of our new beds that we've put together here, all ready for the spring. Here is one that we're currently working on. So we've got the wood underneath, as you can see, and then kitchen scraps and garden scraps. So we're just piling it all on here, and as we go. And by the time spring comes, we'll have put some soil on top and mulch, and it'll be ready to go. The tomato fence still doing great. This lasagna bed is starting to wind down. It was mostly pumpkins, so those are starting to die back. We'll be harvesting those soon. Lots of little pumpkins. And over here we have a bunch of butternut squash that are just starting starting to get going here, so I'm hoping we have quite a bit of those. Looks like we're gonna. My chaos gardening works perfectly with these lasagna beds. First of all, with the chaos gardening, the idea is that you just haphazardly throw seeds and plants around and let nature kind of decide what grows. But this way I don't actually have to like throw seeds around. I just compost everything in spot and then just kind of see what pops up. And if something weird comes up or inconvenient, I just dig it up and move it, and no problems. So this bed, I had a lot of peppers pop up, and I've actually got some dill, looks like, popping up here, which is a nice surprise. I don't think it'll, well, it might do okay. It might still get some dill harvest this fall. And this bed was the very first kind of lasagna that we did last spring, and so much stuff popped up out of this. Like, well, this tomatillo I didn't plant, that was a volunteer. There's a tomato in there, there's a bunch of pumpkins, there is potatoes and lemon balm, and 2 avocados sprouted from some avocado pits we used for guacamole, which I did dig up and put into pots to see if we can get them to survive the winter. So yeah, it's just kind of fun to see what pops up, what survives, and what you get. So I mean, it's a bit you can't really plan for it, but if you have the space and then having a few of these chaos beds can be really fun. In my or my situation, like, all of them are chaos. This bed, once again, is another lasagna. Now we just cut out this huge squash that was here. It got way bigger than than we were expecting, and it blocked this whole path, so now we can walk through, which is nice. And it's giving these other plants a bit more space. Some airflow can get through these now. Now this is another good example of how awesome these beds are. Like, this is 1 tomato plant, this whole thing, 1 tomato plant. And look at the size of these. Those are pretty big. So hopefully we have time for those to ripen before it gets too cold. It's starting to get not frosty, not yet, but it's dipping pretty low. I think it'll be like 4 degrees tonight. We put wood chips down in all of our pathways, just kind of neaten things up, keeping the weeds down. Here's another bed, new lasagna bed that we built. Every big rock that I dig up, I also plop around these beds, try and differentiate the ground from the beds. And we also built this new bed. Taylor and I planted out a bunch of tulip bulbs, about 40 of them in this bed, so hopefully we have just a beautiful spring flower bed here. And then I'll also plant out some perennials amongst the tulips because they won't last super long. So that's the plan for that area. Just hopefully a buttload of flowers. Right now I'm sitting at our little garden bench in the corner. I gotta finish up because the neighbors have started doing their lawn mowing or whatever. They're being super loud. So I think the main thing that I've learned this year is that soil health, so the quality of your soil is the most important, and it's the biggest factor that I've been dealing with. And I think it just was really compacted soil. Our soil is pretty depleted, like it's just like dust. Like here, like that's that's what we're dealing with. So there's absolutely no nutrients in those soils. And I did try and amend a bit as I went along. Like I would add compost if I had any, and I would add things like bone meal, more natural kind of additives. I would also add things like coffee grounds if I felt like it needed some nitrogen if things are looking yellow, and it seemed to help a little bit for the most part. But I think what I need to do continue with these lasagna garden beds because they seem to be doing perfectly fine. I'm going to grow out a lot more of the staple foods that we eat a lot of, like garlic, onions. Like I said, we didn't get any onions this year, and we use that's like probably the main vegetable that we use. And I did get some garlic, but not enough to last us. I think I got like maybe a month's worth of garlic, and if I could get a year's worth, that would be ideal. As far as tomatoes went, I think we got a lot, and we're still going to get quite a bit. But the most that we got was the cherry tomato variety, and it's great for salsa, but not really awesome for sauces and that kind of thing and canning. So I want to do much bigger tomatoes next year, and probably around the same quantity. We had a lot of tomatoes, probably about 100 plants, but like I said, it was mostly cherry tomatoes. So bigger, saucier tomatoes is the goal for next year. Eggplants, we have a lot of eggplants, and it's not a food that we've really done a lot of cooking with in the past, so there's a bit of a learning curve there to see come up with those new dishes, which is kind of fun. More berries next year. I'm hoping that our strawberry patch really takes off, and that our blackberries and raspberries are. I think this year they didn't give us much. I'm hoping that that was because they're just establishing themselves this year. So hopefully next year we get a lot more berries. I was happy with the flowers this year. I want to do way more. We were starting to see a bit of an ecosystem forming in our yard, from birds to bees to any kind of bugs. We have deer and we have quail, and I even found a frog. Yeah, I think I want to. I think I just want to add a lot more, some more food, more varieties. Want to do more beans and more of those kind of protein-rich plants. And yeah, let's keep going. I'm enjoying this, and I hope you guys are too. So let me know in the comments if there's anything more specific you'd like to see, or if there's any details you'd like me to go into further. But yeah, right now I think it's just soil amendment, and I just need to be planting way more stuff so we have more food to store next year. Yeah, so thank you so much for joining me today. Don't forget to keep track of me and join me at the end of this month for our year in review. We'll do a before and after of how we've transformed the yard and how different it looks. And I'm really excited to kind of show you guys the progress that we've made over the last year. So make sure you stay tuned for that. So happy full moon, everybody. Don't get caught by any werewolves, and we'll see you next time.